fans, welcome to Virtual Japan as we are here today for round number 6.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 the lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the YesterYear Racing Cup Series here at the Old Bastards Racing League. We're at Sonoma Raceway, the California hillside, and it is going to be a good one here tonight. 40 laps on the board, and it's going to be some great road racing for our fans out there. As always, my name is James Eastwood, Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, bringing the action 1080p 60 frames a second. As right now, solo qualifying is underway, and I just see a couple of drivers out on track here today. Looks like Josh Robinson, number 23, is out on track now. Robinson did have an off track. So that may make his run here a little bit tougher. Any off tracks or incidents during qualifying will invalidate the lap time. Right now, it's Michael Watts, the road race ringer, the number 84, in the top spot here in qualifying. He was able to click off a 1:16.2 here. And Robinson is going to make his way around the final few corners here at Sonoma. He has not put down a lap time so far. This is going to be the only shot. A bit of a blink there for Robinson. Let's see what it is as he crosses the line. He's going to move up into second on 1:16.71, about a half second off the pace of Mr. Michael Watts. Looks like the only drivers who have not put down a time here tonight is going to be Sean Fultz, the 95, Tom Massey, the number 62, and TJ Rogers piloting the number 72. We got Pac-Man CT here cheering on the VLS drivers. Joe Robinson in the final few seconds of qualifying, taking a bit of a Sunday stroll, checking out the track, and getting ready for today's feature event. Let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on. Drivers will frequently have this broadcast pulled up on a separate monitor or device, and if they don't, they just about always go back and watch this thing over. But that is going to do it here for qualifying, and let's get ready to send them out for today's feature event. Starting on pole, Michael Watts, the 84. Josh Robinson starting second. Dan Hill starts third. Tom B-Class Ogle starting fourth. Clay Walker starting fifth. Wayne Hufford starting sixth. Brian Lynch starts seventh. Chris Bates starting eighth. Andy Thomas starting ninth. Alan Wanamaker starts 10th. Lee Warsdale starting 11th. Lloyd Moore starting 12th. Cycling it on back, Robert Garisco starting 13th. Mark Fish starting 14th. TJ Rogers starts 15th. John Bolt starting 16th. And Tom Massey will round out the 17-car grid here today. Now we get everybody rolling off the line here. It's going to be an abbreviated warm-up lap at the Cup configuration here at Sonoma. We are expecting one fuel stop from these drivers. There goes our safety car coming down pit road. The start's going to be on Watson Robinson on that front row. Hill and Ogle your second row. Walker and Hufford will make up the third row. Trying to get them all gridded up, double file. About 8 rows deep here. Today's feature been a little bit lighter attendance for the road course. But we are green flag racing with Michael Watts up to a big start there, the number 84. Looks like we're trying to get sorted in single file, but the opening turn's going to be good here. Sonoma, no big incidents. Now, if there is a big incident, there will be no full course cautions here this evening. We will run this thing start to finish with no course-wide yellow flags. Alan Wanamaker, the number 74, making a move against Andy Thomas. Thomas gets bumped back to 10th. Already Sean Foltz, the number 95, he's up 2 spots early on, pulling his way up into 14th. Lloyd Moore getting passed by Lee Warsdale, the number 99 Ford Mustang. Michael Watts has already pulled about a 1-second gap. If we can get a camera angle pointing at Watts has pulled, yeah, that 1-second gap over Josh Robinson. And Robinson has Dan Hill and Tom Ogle in relatively hot pursuit. The top 4 have broken away here. If we go back to Wayne Hufford in 5th, he's about 1.3 seconds off the tail of those top 4 drivers. Right behind Hufford, that's Clay Walker, potting number 2 Ford Mustang. Walker's down 1 spot from where he started. Looks like Hill has company from his teammate Ogle, who sits in 4th. Looked like Hill, a little bit of a mistake there. Pushes wide, opens the door for Ogle. Ogle has to get on the brakes to avoid tagging that number 7 machine. Thankfully, everybody getting through nice and clean, but they've lost time now to the top 2. Watson Robinson have pulled about 1.5 seconds over 3rd and 4th place. Now let's go a little bit further back. The Lee Warsdale on that number 99 machine. He's about 1/4 second off the back of Lloyd Moore sitting 11th. And a little bit behind them, there's Robert Garisco. Garisco has Foltz, Rogers, Fish, all in tow here. As your race leader, Michael Watts, just clicked off the fastest lap of the race, a 1:17.39. Things are tightening up here. Warsdale making the pass against Moore. Looks like Garisco is going to follow him through there. I wonder if Moore had a little bit of a problem, as now he's got Sean Foltz and TJ Rogers right behind. Foltz taking the alternative line through the grass and gravel. Rogers trying to stick the nose of the 72 in there. And that's one of the great parts about being here at the OBRL, the YesterYear Racing Cup Series. No matter where you look, always great racing across the track. Moore and Foltz still having a great battle here. Foltz working the inside line against Moore. Let's see, it looks like TJ Rogers tries to follow him through. Can't quite get around Moore there. Now it's the lap times update. Looks like Robinson in 2nd, starting to wick up the pace a little bit as he sets the fastest lap. Andy Thomas, the number 12, he's had some sort of issue. Lost his spot to Alan Wanamaker in the 74. And now Lee Warsdale starting to close the gap. Also looks like Chris Bates and Brian Lynch, 7th and 8th, separated by just a little bit there. Lynch was hard on the brakes to avoid getting to the back of Bates. Has a big run down the hill. So on screen right now, the battle for 7th. Chris Bates trying to fend off Brian Lynch. Lynch doing everything he can to get a nose of that number 9 machine in against Bates. Not quite having much luck with it. As they cross the finish line, Bates is going to hold on to the 7th place spot. Oh, and we've got something going on up front. Josh Robinson with a big moment. The number 23 is going to fall back to 4th here. Gets the car restarted. Oh, Robinson's going to have an uphill battle. He's all the way back to 6th. Let's see what happened to that 23 machine. Looks like it's going to be a solo incident. Little bit too much curbing, and around it goes. Keeps it pointing the right direction, but I think just stalled it. So that's going to relegate Robinson all the way back to 6th. So now your top 3 is going to be Watts, Hill, and Ogle. Pretty spread out at this point. Bates and Lynch now seeing a little bit better chance of a top 5 ahead of them. We're going to try and latch onto the back of Robinson. Robinson back on the pace there, built up about a 1.5 seconds over Bates. Bates still has Lynch in hot pursuit here. Six laps in, and the top 6 drivers all over a 1.5 seconds from each other. You got Chris Bates and Brian Lynch having a great race. Robert Garisco and Sean Foltz have also been going back and forth for the 12th place position. Bolt's trying to get a run up there against Garisco. Can't quite get the clean nose in that he was looking for. And going back to Brian Lynch, I've been watching the splits here. Getting closer and closer to Bates, then backs out of it slightly. Gets it down to 2/10 there behind that number 81 machine. Let's see if Lynch is going to make a big send here into that final hairpin. He sets up on the left side of your screen. Dives it in deep on the brakes against Bates. And a beautiful pass by Brian Lynch will put him up into 7th. And looks like Foltz and Garisco going to do about the same there. That final corner, a pretty good passing opportunity for these drivers. Up front, the report is Dan Hill running 2nd, might have some company. Tom Ogle, the number 11 machine, starting to close the gap behind. And man, Robinson currently staying 6th. He's going to hope that some of the top 5 drivers have issues, because Robinson about 13 seconds behind the top 3, top 4 drivers. We had another incident reported. This time it's Chris Bates. He's going to lose a few spots there. Alan Wanamaker, Andy Thomas, Lee Warsdell making their way by as Bates falls back to 11th. Let's see what happened. Like it may be another solo incident. Too much curbing. Slides it around, and a beautiful 360 to get that number 81 machine back in the right direction. Josh Robinson trying to make up some ground here as he battles against Wayne Hufford's 75 machine. This will be the battle for 5th out on screen. For the number 75, Robinson, the 23. Robinson, I think, is going to be aggressive here, trying to salvage some points in this road course. Looks like Hufford also starting to reel in Clay Walker in the number 2. Walker currently running 4th out on track, up 1 position. I'm going to be curious to see if Hufford and Robinson maybe work together here for a little bit and see if they can reel in Walker. Looks like they're doing so pretty quickly on the brakes into the hairpin. Gaining about 0.3 of a second there. I'm curious to see what Robinson's lap time is going to be. A 118.71 for Robinson. So still not back up to his normal pace. For example, for comparison, Michael Watts, the race leader, clicked off a 116.54. That was his fastest lap of the race. And Robinson not quite able to make something happen against Hufford just yet. Had another off-track reported. It's going to be Robert Garisco tagging the outside wall there. Waiting for a safe opportunity to rejoin, so he's going to lose 2 spots, 1 to Moore, 1 to Rogers. And here comes Mark Fish to try and make a shot. Let's see what happened to Garisco, the number 28 machine. He just pushed a little bit wide there. And a light bump, and how you doing to the tire barrier. Robinson keeps looking like he wants to stick the nose in against Hufford, but hasn't quite committed to it. Needs to make something happen quickly, I would say, as they have lost about a half second to Clay Walker sitting in 4th. Ogle running in 3rd, has started to reel in Dan Hill in 2nd once more. As Hufford and Robinson have reeled Walker back in once more within a second. Now Robert Garisco, the number 28, is going to come down pit road. Wondering if he got some suspension damage on the front left. He very lightly tagged the tire wall. But sometimes these cars can be a little bit finicky when it comes to damage. Now, drivers do have 1 fast repair for the road course, 1 get-out-of-jail-free card. Garisco in and out of a stall, 15 seconds, so that might have just been 4 tires to try something and maybe get off pit strategy from everybody else. Robinson doing everything he can here, looking for an opening. Goes wide, too hard on the brakes for Robinson. Gonna lose a whole lot of time there to Hufford. Hufford's gonna have a 2.5-second breakaway from that number 23 machine. So that's gonna take a little bit of stress off that 5th place driver. There's Dan Hill running in 2nd. Tom Ogle running 3rd, about 1 second back. The other 2 closest drivers we have out on track, let's get a camera angle, is Chris Bates and Sean Foltz. Running 11th and 12th. Foltz is within 0.4 of a second here of Bates and closing mighty fast. Foltz is our hard charger so far tonight, up 4 spots. Just ahead, you can see Lee Warsdale, the number 99. He's in that top 10 position, trying to hold on to it. Now, it seems to me, from an outsider looking in, drivers are really having a tough time making any moves outside that final hairpin. Now, if that is the case, it's going to be very interesting as this race continues to click on. Lee Warsdale is going to gain another position, this time over Andy Thomas. And Thomas had a brief off track, but now he's got Bates and Foltz right behind there. So far tonight here at Sonoma, it's been a race of attrition, mostly single car incidents. And heavy moves on braking as Sean Foltz looks to try and stick it in against Bates. Can't quite get it going. No, maybe he's going to get the run out. It's going to be a drag race. Bates showing ahead, has a better run. So that seems to be the name of the game here at Sonoma as far as passing opportunities, is trying to force the driver in front of you to either make a mistake or wait until that final hairpin and really run it in deep on the brakes. Now, Hufford must have had some sort of incident because Robinson has closed the gap once more, back within a quarter of a second. And for the first time in a long time, Michael Watts, your race leader, has Dan Hill within a second. We might have some racing still left to go here, and we do still have that green flag stop still on the schedule. Here's Robinson, doesn't take a shot at the inside line, being very conservative there on when he tries to make a move. Hufford leaving plenty of room, almost baiting Robinson into it, with Hufford knowing he's going to get a little bit better drive out of the corner. Stalling the momentum ever so slightly of Robinson. Bates makes a pass on Thomas. Foltz is able to follow him through here. So now Bates is going to be back up into the top 10. Let's check in on race leader Michael Watts. He's got Dan Hill closing the gap behind within 0.4 of a second. Watts must have had a huge moment the lap prior. He was over a second slower than Hill. And I think I just spotted, yeah, Tom Ogle. So you got the top three within about a second and a quarter of each other here. There's Hufford and Robinson still linked up. There we go, Robinson deep on the brakes against the apron. He's going to very cleanly take over that 5th place position. Hufford gets bumped back to 6th where he originally qualified. Top 3 still Watts, Hill, Ogle. 1, 2, 3. Watts qualified on pole, has led every lap so far, but now that race lead's going to be contested with the likes of Hill and Ogle right behind. Now we're expecting the fuel window to open up around lap 20 for these drivers, as I suspect tire wear is going to be a major factor to keeping the lap times as low as you can get them. As we've got 25 laps left to go here. Oh, a little bit of a hiccup there in the broadcast booth. Hill has fallen back again to about 3/4 of a second off the back of Michael Watts. Ogle staying right there with his teammate. Hill really closed the gap there. Thought he might have been going for a big send, maybe trying to scare Watts a little bit and making a mistake. The top three drivers all within about a second of each other. To give you an idea of how fast these guys are going, they have built up a 20-second advantage from fourth place back here tonight. Walker and Robinson having a battle for fourth. Looks like Walker's not going to battle too much here, as Robinson gets through nice and easy. Robinson back up into fourth, but again, he's 21 seconds back from the lead drivers at this point. Looks like Lloyd Moore and Mark Fish trying to get something going here, the battle for 14th. Fish has closed in within... No, he makes the pass and does so clean against Moore. Into the hairpin. I think, yeah, look at Fish run the Dude Wipe sponsorship on the Toyota. So Fish will work his way back into his original qualifying position here at Sonoma. And could that be? I think it is. Lap traffic just ahead of Michael Watts, the number 84. Think that may be Lloyd Moore ahead. Yes, that's Moore, the number 26 machine. The field stacks up here. Here comes Dan Hill trying to get a nose in to use traffic to his advantage. So that's going to tighten things up here in the top three even more so. So the next driver that's going to risk going a lap down, it's going to be Mark Fish, the number 42, running 14th. Let's see how Watts is able to navigate traffic here, knowing if he holds back too long, he's got Dan Hill and Tom Ogle not afraid to capitalize on the situation. Fish sees the top three coming, holds to the track right. Look how close things are amongst the top three. Just a couple laps left until we're at the halfway mark. I'm curious to see if all these top three drivers are going to come down pit road together or if they're going to go on different strategies. Very impressed with how clean these guys have been running here tonight. We've had some great wheel-to-wheel action. I have not seen any car-to-car contact yet. But everybody trying to give as much space as they can. Wanting to make sure everybody gets through nice and clean to the end. Sean Bolts, Lee Warsdale, the battle for 9th. Not too far behind them is going to be Chris Bates, the number 81 machine. It's trying to hold on to the race lead, but we've got something reported. It looked like Wayne Hufford and Alan Wanamaker both went off track, but I think it was two separate situations. Let's check in on Wanamaker's incident first, the 74. Oh, not even close, and a very exciting moment as he bounces back onto the racetrack. Now Robinson sitting fourth, just clicked off the fastest lap of the race, a 1:16.12. I would not be surprised to see some high 1:15s by the time it's all said and done here. John Foltz, Lee Warsdale going side by side for 8th. It's going to be a battle of the brakes here. Heading up into turn 1, looks like Foltz is going to get it clean. Moving that number 95 up into 8th. Still our hard charger of the night, up 8 spots so far this evening. Coming to the final hairpin, the top 3 all opting to stay out. Alan Wanamaker, the number 74, down pit road for a green flag stop. You've got Watts, Hill, Ogle separated by about 0.8 of a second between all of these drivers up here in the top 3. And Dan Hill able to muscle his way through in that number 7 machine. And for the first time here tonight, Watts is going to find himself in the 2nd place spot. Has to be careful because Ogle is going to try and push him back into 3rd here. But for the first time here tonight, Hill is going to get himself up into the lead and getting credit for a lap led here at Sonoma. Watts now sitting in 2nd, Tom Ogle 3rd, Robinson and Walker rounding out the top 5. Watts gonna try and hammer down, keeping Hill from getting too much of a breakaway. Hill now 0.8 up over the rest of the field. And he is gonna be on the throttle. Now I'm gonna try and get some stats pulled up here in the background. Hill came into tonight 4th in points. He's looking for his 2nd win of the season. His last win was May 12th at Darlington Raceway. Hill's got about a 1.5 second breakaway. Ogle still sitting in 3rd. Right off the back bumper. And what do we have here? A huge mistake. Resulting, oh no, and he's got to go all the way around. Oh my goodness, Watts tagging that tire barrier. pushes him right in front of Ogle. And Watts is going to take a tow back to pit road. His night is over. Now, I'd imagine Ogle will come down pit road this time by with a smushed in front end of the number 11 machine. But that has put Josh Robinson back up into third. What a little bit of a miracle there for Robinson. Chris Bates down pit road. Michael Watts is going to get back out on track. And that number 84 machine still showing him on the lead lap. Dan Hill, your race leader. Tom Ogle running second. There's TJ Rogers going a lap down to that number 11 of Ogle. Chris Bates is going to come down pit road for a green flag stop. Now, I'm surprised so many drivers have stayed out this long. With the amount of traffic starting to increase ahead of Dan Hill, I would not be surprised to see him come down pit road, take his fuel. No, he's going to stay out here. That's the number 12 machine of Andy Thomas going a lap down to the race leader. You can see Tom Amassi, the right side of your screen, coming down for his one stop. Now, I'm surprised that Ogle has stayed out here. But maybe the tire fall off isn't as bad as I was thinking up here in the broadcast booth. Dan Hill rocking and rolling, not having any issues. Ogle doing a good job. Looks like he's starting to close the gap as Hill jumping a little bit of curbs here. 14 laps left to go at Sonoma. Hill still has a comfortable 2.8 second margin over Ogle. About a 16.8 second margin over Josh Robinson, who has miraculously worked his way back up into third. Now, we expected to start and see pit stops around the halfway mark, but it looks like Hill and Ogle Really, everybody inside the top 8 going to stretch this thing out. There's more traffic for Hill. I think that may be Michael Watts, the number 84 machine, who had to use that fast repair just a couple laps prior. Poor Watts started off leading the majority of this race, now finds himself in 9th, fighting to stay on the lead lap. Now Hill does not want to get caught up with lap traffic. Ogle has gained about 0.6 of a second that last time by. Tom Massey's going to roll out of pit road, the number 62 machine. As Chris Bates sits in his stall with extended repairs, the number 81. But unfortunately, we got a report Amasi might have had issues out of pit road. Let's take a look there and see. No, doesn't look like a crash for Tom Amasi. Wait a second. What just happened? While we were looking at that, Dan Hill has thrown away the race lead. Tom Ogle's your new race leader. What happened to Hill here? Oh no, Hill just loses the back end, careens it around. That's gonna put Tom Ogle somehow, some way, your race leader. Tom B-Class Ogle was involved in a huge hit with Watts earlier on. Now finds himself a 6.5 second gap. 11 laps left to go. Go, Ogle, go. So let's see what's going to happen here. Every time we think the top 5 is locked in, something wild happens. Right now it's Ogle, Hill, Robinson, 1, 2, 3. Walker and Hufford making up the top 5 here. And now we've got to get the stats queued up for Ogle. Ogle coming into tonight was 86 points back from Josh Robinson in the points chase. Ogle has a few wins so far this season. One at Phoenix, one at Bristol, and one at Dover. Was not able to pick up a road course win so far this season. But maybe if he can keep things pointing in the right direction, he can make it happen. Ten laps left to go here at Sonoma. Josh Robinson sitting in third, just once again clicked off the fastest lap of the race. A 1:15.99, the first driver here tonight into the 1:15s. Ogle crosses the line, still working through traffic, not having any issues. 5.7 second favor for Ogle. And you just know Dan Hill and Josh Robinson are absolutely hammering the throttle in second and third place, hoping for a bit of misfortune to go the way of the White Claw back number 11 Ford. Currently 8 drivers on the lead lap. Let's see what the times update to for Ogle. Last time by a 1:16.64. Ogle has been very consistent so far here tonight. Has not been the fastest driver we've seen out the road course, but has been just very rock solid. Ogle a 1:16.53, staying true to form. Robinson in third, getting still faster than everybody else out front. A 1:16.24 for the number 23 last time by. 8 laps left to go. Hill starting to whittle away at that gap that Ogle has, but that 5.4 second advantage that Ogle has, that's going to be tough to grab with 8 laps left to go, and barring any big mistakes from Ogle. We've seen it before, though. I mean, even tonight, we've seen drivers have issues and can find themselves on the outside looking in, but man, look at the traffic up ahead for Ogle. I think that's going to be Brian Lynch, the number 9. Who may be the next driver going a lap down here in the California road course. Dan Hill sitting in second, answers with the fastest lap of the race, a 1:15.96, a hundredth of a second faster than the burner of a lap time Robinson was able to put down. And now Ogle running a little bit of traffic. There's Brian Lynch trying to give way to the race leader. If Ogle's run stalls here, trying to safely navigate lap traffic, that is going to allow Hill to keep closing that gap. Hill has already got it down to within 4 seconds of Ogle, gaining a whole lot of time here, but 7 laps left to go. Hill hoping for a bit of a miracle here. Now, I'm also very surprised that nobody in the top 6 has come down pit road at all. The only person in the top 10 to pit was Michael Watts, number 84, and that was a tow that he took that fast repair to get back out on track and salvage an evening. So it doesn't look like tire stops are on the horizon for these guys. Robinson heard that Hill clicked off the fastest lap of the race, and he couldn't have it. Robinson, a 1:15.6 is Ogle. This is the mark there slightly, a huge bit of curbing. But it looks like Dan Hill had a tougher time navigating traffic, as he is now 7.3 seconds back from that number 11, leading here at the road raceway. So now Robinson is closer to Hill. Robinson third, Hill in second. Then Hill is to the race leader, Tom Ogle. I mean, the fact that Robinson's worked his way back up into third is impressive by itself, but might have an honest shot at a second place here. Dan Hill in second. down pit road. That's going to put Robinson back up into second. Now, does Hill think he's going to be short on fuel? Does he have too many off tracks? So this keeps getting more and more interesting. So now it's Tom Ogle, your race leader. Josh Robinson has moved up into second. Dan Hill just did a drive-through. Didn't come down pit road. What on earth? Did Hill just overcook into the hairpin? He was trying to get around Brian Lynch there in the number 9. I think Hill might have just made the mistake of a lifetime. So Hill's still showing in third. Now Josh Robinson is up into second. What is going on here tonight? But right now, in one of the wildest road courses I've seen in a while, it's Tom Ogle, your race leader. His teammate Josh Robinson in second. His other teammate, Dan Hill, sitting in third. 4 laps left to go, and I'm still almost positive it's not safe to call it, as this is going to be the top 5 for the end. This is a bit of a weird one here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It seems like anybody in the top 3 has been plagued with misfortune so far here this evening. Ogle clicks over the lap timer, making it 3 to go here at Sonoma. Robinson sitting 10.5 seconds back. Dan Hill sitting 30.4 seconds back. I can't believe that Ogle's not having car issues with that Ford. After slamming into the side of Watts, the 84, after that earlier incident around 25 laps in, 23 laps in, I should say. And I think that's Watts once more ahead of Ogle. A little bit of a snap of the wheel there for Ogle. Andy Thomas has had some sort of incident as he loses 3 spots to Fish, Wanamaker, and Rogers. Let's see what happens to Thomas. Pushes it a little bit wide, snaps the car around, and finds himself parked directly on the racing line. But I think Thomas was waiting for some clean track, trying to hop out of the way. The last thing he wanted to do was pull out onto a hot track. But we are 2 to go here at the YesterYear Racing Cup Series at the OBRL. Ogle still holding on to a 9.5 second advantage over Robinson. Robinson, quite the comeback story here this evening. Ogle has a half lap left to go before we unfurl the white flag at the start-finish line. There's drivers hopping out of the way for Ogle, seeing the race leader coming up quickly behind and not wanting to interfere. Ogle into that final hairpin. The White Claw number 11 Ford. The white flag is out. Ogle with a huge 10-second advantage over the rest of the field. Robinson in second. He's 20 seconds up over Dan Hill. And I think for this final lap, Ogle's just going to be cruising here in that number 11 Ford. Not wanting to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Tom Ogle with a commanding win here at Sonoma. Josh Robinson with quite the comeback story will get second. And Dan Hill is gonna hopefully lock up third here. And yes, Dan Hill able to bring home the third. As we're going to try and get these drivers up here to victory lane after a long cool-down lap to get those celebratory photos. Ogle has to be very pleased with that performance here tonight. Despite the front end damage, able to keep things out there and bring home his fourth win of the season. There's Ogle, there's Robinson. Looks like Dan Hill has left the building. Not be joining us for the podium or the at least the post-race photos. Let's see if we can get him up here for the interview, though. There goes Dan Hill. He opted to come down pit road, not going to be lined up for the photos, it looks like. Like we've got Ogle in the waiting room, waiting for Robinson and Hill. I think I just saw Dan Hill getting back out on track, so I think he missed it. Close, but not quite. So just waiting on Mr. Dan Hill at this point to make his way to the waiting room. And then we will be ready for the celebratory podium interviews. And looks like we've got everybody here, so we're going to start things off with Dan Hill, the number 7. Dan qualified in 3rd, led some laps, finished 3rd, but what a wild night and an odd night here at Sonoma.
Yeah, I was out of control the whole freaking race, man. I feel terrible. I got Brian pretty bad there, and I had one off track where Watts was a little bit mad at me about coming back on, but it is what it is. It was just a rough race.
Well, hey, still able to come back a little bit, salvage some points. A good result all in all at 3rd place. I mean, coming into tonight, did you expect a podium finish, or was this just a get through and survive kind of race?
Well, Sonoma's never really been kind of one of my good tracks. It's a really tough track because you're racing the track. I feel like more so than the other drivers, and I never expect anything here. So to come out with a 3rd, I'm happy with, but would have been happier had I drove a little bit less aggressive, I think.
Well, hey, still good to have you up here in the top 3. Always a pleasure, bud. And before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout to that helped make it happen?
As always, my teammates, Josh, Tom, Brian, John Hinchcliffe, Mark Fish, all those guys, Team Miata, and you guys for the great broadcast you guys put together, and Victor for giving us a great league to come out here and run on, because there's really no other place like it.
Oh, always a pleasure, Dan. Good to have you back up here, bud, and hopefully we'll have you next week.
Thanks, bud.
That was Dan Hill bringing it home. And second up next, we've got Mr. Josh Robinson, number 23. Josh, after that early incident, would you ever have expected to be back up here on the podium with much less as 2nd?
Nope.
Yeah, it seemed like things kind of worked out for you. I mean, there was carnage everywhere. I'm sure Tom's going to talk for 30 minutes after tonight, being able to pick up a win from this one, but a bit of a roller coaster of an evening, so kind of walk me through it.
Yeah. So I was telling Tom that he's going to win this race through attrition just because everybody kept making a mistake. And that is exactly what happened. But he ran good enough to keep the pressure on everybody, and sometimes that's all you need to do is just keep the pressure on someone. But when I was entering turn number I don't know 3, 4, whatever it is, that left-hander, you got to be very. You can't touch that curb, and I knew that, and I put my left front right on that curb, and around she came, and it was all the brake I had to keep that thing off the wall, and then like a dummy I stalled it, so I was still rolling, but had to do the old bump start on it.
Now, Josh, with the updates that iRacing pushed out this week, it's week 13 right now, was there any noticeable changes in the car that you're able to feel here at Sonoma?
I didn't feel anything different for the next gen. So I don't know if it was because it's a road course, and we don't run a whole lot of road courses. I am definitely not a road course savant. When we get back to the ovals, maybe we'll notice some differences there.
Well, hey, always great to have you up here. Glad to see you salvage the night. A very well-earned 2nd place. And before I let you go and cool off from this one, who do you want to give a shout to that helps put you up here in the top 3?
Want to give a shout out to everyone that showed up tonight. We had a 17 car field, and that's pretty good for a road course and in a league that typically runs ovals. Shout out to Lloyd Moore, who had the only 0x throughout the whole list of drivers tonight, and thanks to Mike Watts for giving me a new shiny paint job for the week.
Well, hey, very cool. Josh, always a pleasure, bud, and congratulations on 2nd here tonight.
Thanks, James. Have a good week.
You as well, sir. That was Josh Robinson finishing in 2nd, but who do we have here? It's Tom Ogle, the number 11, and I don't think you're going to let me live this one down, picking up a huge win tonight.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Everybody else kind of had problems, and I just survived.
Now, talking about survival, after you and Watts had that incident really beat up the front end of your car, were you worried that that was going to kind of take you out of the race, or was the car feeling relatively okay?
The first lap after, I thought I was down on power, but then I ran a pretty good lap. So it was probably down on power because when he caught that tire, you know what I mean, and I was right on him. I couldn't avoid him or anything. If you clip those tires, it's more like a wall than tires on the inside of 11 there.
Yeah.
So I was right there on his tail and piled into him. But then, like, I don't think it hurt me because maybe it helped me not over rev the engine, you know, like on an oval, I think I would have been dead, but on a road course, I don't think it hurt as bad.
Yeah, I mean, last lap was your fastest lap of the race, I believe, of 1:15.87. So something was obviously working well, and
Yeah.
seemed like you were Mr. Consistent all night long. Very consistent in the lap times, hitting the marks, and it looks like traffic wasn't as big of a factor as I would have expected here.
No, it wasn't. And the lap guys in this league, do a really good job. Like if you're a lap down, there's a ton of courtesy, you know. Nobody really runs anybody deep in the corner or anything. Sometimes, like if you get behind somebody through the S's or something, there's just nowhere for them to go. So you have to be patient. I think it helped me. I went in here in my mindset, I was going to be a top 5 car and that's it. Because I figured Josh, Dan, and Watts are definitely better than me on road courses. So I just didn't expect them to make mistakes.
Well, definitely the mistakes fell in your favor here tonight. Be able to bring home up 3 positions, the top spot. And Tom, you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout to that helped make it happen?
Well, the admins that run the league, they put in a ton of work to keep this thing going. Victor and Josh and Dan and all the other admins. You for broadcasting us, and my teammates for helping me, and those top 3 guys for booting it and letting me pass them, I guess.
You know, you keep this up, Ogle, and I think you're going to have an A-class license by the end of the week.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx
nope,
it.
I've done
I'm
the
just
thing.
telling you. I didn't. I ran an official race here yesterday and got 0x, but it would have been road course, so it wouldn't have affected it. But I could sneak into some street stocks tonight and knock that safety rating right back down.
Attaboy. Tom, always a pleasure, buddy. Hope you have a fantastic week, and congratulations on the win here.
Yep. Thank you.
That was Tom Ogle bringing it home in the number 1 spot here at Sonoma. He was accompanied by none other than Josh Robinson and our good friend Dan Hill bringing it home in 3rd. On behalf of the OBRL, the YesterYear Racing Cup Series, my name has been James Eastwood, Team Goon Squad. Thank you all so much for spending your Sunday night with us, and I'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.